Welcome to our Artisan Home. You can tell here we are still in the middle of construction on this lovely spring day that's been raining all day, and so a little bit of weather we have to deal with. This home is in mid-punch. As you can tell here, we still got masking and this beautiful brass handle. Although brass is in style, this one is not permanent. So we're gonna go on in and check out some of the cool things and talk to you about the home and the punchless space that it's in now. Forgot to open the door. Come on in. This is our artisan home. It's full of artistic elements where we really try to push the limits with our craftsmen and trade partners and just design in general. This is a modern European home, and as we know, a lot of older European homes had lead or metal windows because it was workable and it was durable, and so it's something that you often see when you travel to other parts of the world. And this is kind of where this came about. There's some of that metal work that is done often in Europe and bringing a more modern aspect to an office. It's why we did these metal handrails, and we try to go with a real simplistic design. It's got a natural patina. It's not painted black. We wanted to show something in its more raw, natural state. So you can see the weld marks. You can see the rawness of the steel. And I think that style that you'll see constantly through this home is kind of a juxtaposition of modern elements that are very clean lined to some rough, raw moments. And I think what's cool about that is it shows the hand-carved, handmade aspect of a home, which is important. Sometimes it's lost on homes that these are all done by human hands. We try to go as minimal as possible to kind of accentuate it, but make sure as a whole, this whole space, is viewed as one grand space. Come over here in this office area, something, again, it's got this backdrop of these raw steel kind of look, but then you come in here and we've got this vertical shiplap, painted enamel, brilliant white, looks like a canvas and super clean. And then you look above, you can see these look like floor joists. We mimicked a floor system. And that was, again, bringing in this kind of industrial moment of saying, what would it look like to kind of be in this office and almost feel like you're in a warehouse a little bit, or an older space that has exposed joists. We actually use a poplar type wood. The reason we did that is because it's straight and stable, and then we could paint it really well, because then we wanted to make it a little more modern. And then we even added a little hidden door in here. I wouldn't say it's completely hidden because it has a handle to indicate it's a door, but just a little extra office storage, great place for a printer station and some different things like that. As you can see, it's got some self-closing hinges, so you'll never forget to shut that door, and it kind of shuts in there. Some other things that you'll see is not just like the metal work, but rawness of the wood and the white oak elements. White oak has this really tight grain, and it stains and finishes really well. And something that we try to do even with the floors is we used a very matte finish to make it feel and look as natural as it does when you mill it down. So it has a protective layering on it, but it's as matte as we could get it and still durable. We have this raw steel and this kind of starkness, and then these warm elements that kind of soften this space. As we come over here in the kitchen, so we have this backdrop of all this white oak and some really clean elements. This is a quartzite top, and quartzite is one of the hardest stones you can get. So it has this marbling type of feel. It's quarried really deep in the ground, so it looks like marble, but is as hard as you can get. And it has this really glossy feel. So we've got this glossy looking kitchen, but we wanted to bring in some of that old warm feeling. And that's where we kind of started playing with the hood itself. If you look at it, it's got a slight texturing, and this texturing is a lime plaster. And as you look closer, you can actually see some imperfections of it. And to some people, that might drive them crazy. But it's all intentional in this moment of like this kitchen of being really modern, but then throwing in this hand troweled lime plaster to bring in a really rough craftsman element into something that's very modern and clean. One of my favorite things to do with homes is accentuate small spaces that will go unnoticed at first. because when somebody notices 6 months later that you cared about this one little spot, it kind of tells the story that what we do when we design and build a home, that we care about the smallest little details. And it helps tell that story a little bit. So, I mean, this is one element in here. This dining hutch, it's got some really beautiful details in it. But then again, in the back, it's got this ungrouted, hand-glazed raw tile. Again, that juxtaposition of a really modern cabinet with white oak, this quartzite, and then this small little detail of hand craftsmanship put together in there. And again, some people might look at it first and be like, you didn't finish the tile. It was intentional. To kind of accentuate, these are done by hand. These homes are done by artists, and their craft is well appreciated. Okay, I'm gonna show you a couple more cool things about this kitchen. Again, there's some of these small details. So this detail isn't complete yet. So you're gonna have to kind of take this adventure with me. So this plug right here, what's gonna happen is we actually have a cover. This is perfectly recessed with this reveal that this cover will come on here and be completely flush. This cover is being hand painted by a faux finisher that is matching the veins and different details of the quartzite. When this is done, you'll barely be able to tell that there's actually an outlet there until you actually get close and say, that's where I plug in the blender. That detail, as small as it is, takes an immense amount of planning. That has to be figured out actually at rough-in and even during the pre-construction. This is again where Buildertrend comes in so handy, because we organize ourselves during the design phase and the pre-construction phase. We touch on those little design elements during the pre-con when we hand this over to the production team, and the production team can then look into the selections tab, understand what we had organized, and then execute it here. You can see it's all symmetrical. The shelving, the lights. This moment here has a ton of symmetry involved all the way through to even the fireplace. All that is done intentional, obviously, but it also takes an immense amount of planning and organizing. And a tool like Buildertrend really helps you organize yourself so you can nail these little details and execute them like you see here. And this Bertazzoni range is made purposely to have a little bit more of a uniqueness, handcraft look, which again, kind of just accentuates this whole feel and style. Something that's kind of cool. You gotta come a little closer. So this kitchen sink is a custom sink where they had to miter this in. So as you look here, typically you would see a drop-in sink or maybe a farmhouse sink or something else. But here what we've done is we've taken the actual countertop material and we've mitered and 45'd this all together to be seamless looking, and the quality and standard that this will hold up over time is, this stuff is so hard that you could drop 1,000 spaghetti pots in there and it's gonna be just fine. This light fixture, a lot of kitchens just have like either 2 or 3 pendants, but we really wanted to create that restaurant bistro vibe where it's not these 2 or 3 pendants, but something that's elongated that really accentuates this stone here and all the other details that we've come together. I think one of the biggest features that have come out of the last decade is an eat-in kitchen, and that's what this area is. We had lots of formal dining rooms, lots of plans with formal dining rooms, and those dining rooms often have been converted into offices now. And what these used to be is what we call, quote unquote, a breakfast area. In this specific plan, we really want to accentuate this view here. We've got a covered porch with the fireplace and take advantage of this view of this golf course that will be manicured the whole time. A lot of times when you're designing and looking at homes, you often want to bring the people's eyes upward. So as you look a little upward, you can see again some of those white oak details that we put in this home. This brings in a little bit of warmth. These light fixtures here and back behind here, very modern, but this warmth of wood kind of helps bring in a little bit of that handcrafted feel. So this is, although unfinished, this is an important area. This is becoming very popular in most of our plans where we have like a prep kitchen or prep pantry. So in here, we've got a secondary sink, we've got an ice machine, and we have a spot for a coffee station, your mixer bowl. So this is your area where all that functionality part really happens in the house, and then you could exit this area and get your food placement out in the kitchen and do some other prepping. I'll touch on this again, but a theme that you'll see around this house. We try to really utilize textures. You'll see that we've used it in multiple doors and on different plumbing fixtures and whatnot. And this actually had to be placed here. We actually had to install the certain reeds in there. Those small little touches of textures kind of bring a new element into the house and different aspects of it. So actually, let's walk around this other side of the pantry. I'm gonna just keep walking and talking here, guys. If you backed up and saw this whole kitchen as a whole, again, symmetry is such a huge thing in this kitchen. We've got a door here, both symmetrical in this design here. Symmetry follows through the kitchen faucet to the fireplace. And this side of the pantry is actually the more workable side of the pantry. Not workable, but maybe the raw side. This is where all your dry goods would be going. And to kind of just like take advantage of the volume a little bit and go with the aesthetic feel, we added a library ladder to get across and get to that dry goods up there and take advantage of the full volume of the pantry. As I was just talking, like, it's often like the small details that I really like to accentuate because it shows and tells a certain story. And so throughout this house in the main level, you can see we used these special light switches. And a lot of times just the normal white ones, they're fine and they just kind of blend, but this one draws a little bit more attention. It just has this like kind of gratifying little snap to it. And those actually had to be procured quite a bit in advance. And that was part of our procurement schedule on Buildertrend, that we said, hey, here, we know we want to do these certain light fixtures. They're going to need to be, one, we want to make sure they can fit in these certain locations because this area is pretty tight. And we know we have long lead times. So we have to make sure in our schedule, we have a procurement schedule that's going to address those long lead times and Buildertrend and utilize that. This is the door to the garage. We'll open it. This is where all the skeletons are at. It's very workable right now in punch. But the idea I wanted to show you there is a homeowner would park in here. This would be really important functional part of the house is the mudroom. Mudrooms are storage for different types of jackets and mud boots and different things like that. And this would be called your docking station. This is where there's a spot where the iPads or the laptops get charged for school. And it's just kind of a modern, it's a modern problem that we have now, but it's definitely something we should think about. Powder rooms are often areas where you can really get creative with design. It's kind of where like design gets this push just a hair because you know your guests are coming in here. So how do you show it off? And so just starting with, we added this threshold that's out of quartzite. It's purely design. We didn't need this because we got similar materials, but thresholds like this are often used in older homes because of dissimilar heights and material. And we just wanted to kind of share a little moment of that and be like, you know, this kind of has a feel of that old transition. And look at some of this tile that we used. We used hand glazed, no grout, natural looking tile. We have a white oak cabinet with more quartzite that has a lot of this veining and it has almost like a shattering effect as you look really close. The stone is almost look like somebody has hit it and it's just kind of shattered and has a really kind of natural look. If there's anything that has become, I think, more popular in design, especially with our homes, is accentuating hallways. You know, they're such a huge functional part of a house. And so as you go down here, you can see we use this vertical element of kind of a vertical shiplap wainscoting, same as the office. And then we use these an accented, really nice pendant light that kind of leads your eye to the main hallway through the house. So let's actually use this hallway down to the master suite, primary bedroom over here. I've got to stop you here as we come. There's lots of little elements that I'd like to stop you and look at. So again, here we use these light switches, but as we were planning this, we knew that we were going to have this big return air right here. We said, you know what can we do to integrate the return air into the wainscoting? And we're able to cut these little slots in there and it looks kind of seamless. The reading again, that same reading that you saw on the pantry here on a white oak door now. And we kind of played with different handle sets. This handle set is brass and it's got a lot of little cool details on there. And this is nothing more than a storage closet, but it's at an end of a hallway, an accent into the primary bedroom and laundry. Let's come over here into the primary bedroom. Again, still an active construction site. We've got scaffolding right here. We had some exterior elements we're still working on, but kind of continues this feel and look of a European home built today with its own modern elements and design. On this back wall, we wanted to replicate some of the same stone we did on the outside. This is actually a natural limestone. If you look close enough into some of the pivots and holes, you can actually see crystallization and fossils in this limestone, which is pretty cool. And then we overgrouted it. That overgrouting is very often done in older European buildings. We did these white oak jambs to bring some softness to it. And then these ceiling treatments or beams that we look up at, they're not structural, right? That's not holding up anything, but it gives the idea and feel that, again, is handcrafted and it looks almost from a different time. And it seems that, I mean, that's a whole nother element that is kind of strange that we do. We create these things. Our homes are our refuge or escape from our daily, work life and whatnot. And somewhere that you can come home and rest to and feel like it's a spot that might take you to a different time almost. So as you walk to the primary bathroom here, again, kind of just switching up the handles. This is an MTech handle, and it has a marble finish on this. Little tiny details that a homeowner that will use this primary bathroom will touch and use often, I think will really appreciate. So this bathroom has some of those same themes that are consistent in the house. This tub has that same texture that the glass has next to an older world tile placement here, multiple different sizes of tile. It's supposed to mimic that very old stone. And the same thing with these exposed plumbing pipes, right? It's not in the wall, it's freestanding. You go in the shower, we did the same details here. The plumbing itself, again, is exposed. So you see that oftentimes this shower head just stubs out the wall. Instead, it stubs out here. And that was done in homes that you can't get behind that wall because the wall is concrete or it's stone, so you have to expose that. We use some porcelain type material that looks like marble back there to match some of the stone work that we're doing in here. And these have become very popular in our day of age now. More and more people are asking for a makeup vanity. And this is a good area to store that stuff away from your normal vanity. This bathroom alone accentuates lots of little details and styles that are throughout the house. We've got custom metal mirrors. These ones we painted instead of kept raw. We've got the white oak elements. We've got the natural stone on the tops here, some modern elements mixed with some really rough handmade elements. This is a pocket door. Now pocket doors are usually like the bane of my existence because anytime you put a door inside a wall that's going to move, wood moves constantly, it shrinks, it swells. And so pocket doors can be huge warranty nightmares. This one is what we call a cavity slider. It's got a very robust frame inside here made out of metal, so it doesn't move as much. And then the other cool thing is that this one's a soft close one. So now I say soft close, it better work. Well, it totally worked. I say that because there is a little hardware piece you have to make sure that's activated so that it closes. So come on into the master closet. Something that is so functional in primary master closets like this. Dresser storage in here so that you don't need to have that furniture in your primary bedroom, but that you can take a shower, get ready for the day, have all your clothes in one spot and then go out. This is a pull down, and that will actually get a little smoother as you weigh it down with clothes, but when you have 10-foot ceilings, you're able to put these in and add another layer, more linear foot of clothes storage in a closet like this. Often people use these for like their heavy coats, formal wear, different things like that. Stuff they're not maybe accessing every day. And then as you come back through here, what closet wouldn't want to have a big, large mirror to make sure you look good before you exit out? And directly connected to it is the main laundry room. That's important because it's just very functional. Clothes get dirty, come right through here and put them in the laundry room. So here we have, again, that vertical shiplap ties into multiple different elements, and then against a really kind of raw looking basket weave type tile. And that's what this is called when it's put in that pattern. It's got 4 and then 4 and it turns each time, and it has lots of great storage. Big linen storage right here, or just your laundry room storage. A huge drying rack. And obviously it has a soaker sink right here too. And then again, some more of that reading that you see throughout the house in that tub and through the pantry doors. Okay, so we've talked about this cool hallway that we have that we've accented with trim. And these spaces that we like to create here, you can tell like this 2x4 could have been this small in this section, but we've made this bigger to kind of create this presence inside to this great room. And some of the elements that we've created in here that continue the overall design of the home is, again, a fireplace that has lime plaster, so that hand trowel look to kind of bring in that roughness. You can just see from the sheer magnitude of how tall this is. It's a custom fireplace with some custom details. And then something that's just really important about this whole room, we've talked about the symmetry through the kitchen, and that symmetry from the faucet falls right in line with this. And you know, not every plan is perfectly symmetrical, nor does it need to be. What it is this English European style that we're going through has lots of symmetry involved in it. So we wanted to just bring that from the outside and in. And then what we've created with the ceiling here, a gable vault, that's when a vault comes to a peak. And then we created these dormers. So these entryways where you see that metal up there, again, it's a very European look. You often see, if you ever visit Europe, that roof lines are cut in. They have balcony kind of areas where sloped ceilings are cutting into other things. And it's a way to bring down the ceiling height, make it feel a little bit more comfy and cozy inside this great room, but then still create that element of design and just the appearance of drawing your eyes up and able to do those larger cavity spaces with white oak. And then we've got another fireplace and entertainment space right outside here that has that same elements of overgrout, the same design features that you can see from here, drawing in the inside and out, having those spaces that kind of help circulate the house. And then over here we have a grilling station, and both these doors actually open up. So on a nice spring or fall day, you can slide both these sliders open. You could be grilling on one side, you could have entertainment and people over here eating. I think circulation is something so important to think about when design on how people are going to function through the house, how they're going to move, what's the natural way of doing it, and how can you accent that with design. But yeah, let's head upstairs. We can show you some of the other bedrooms and different elements up there. Oftentimes when we're designing a house, one of the first questions we say is, you know, where's the primary suite? Where is the primary bedrooms at? And then the big question is, what kind of staircase do you want? And the reason why that's so important is because it's such a functional, large structural component of the home, and the different types of staircases are going to change the type of feel. This one is like an elongated switchback, sometimes we'd call it, or L staircase. What's unique about this one is that first we did it all out of hardwood. And a lot of times people are nervous about hardwood or white oak treads because they could be slippery. Because of the Loba invisible finish, it is a little more matte, so it's got a little more grip to it. Something that's unique, if you look down, you can see from the second story, the main floor, and then all the way down to the basement. Kind of gives this really cool view of all three floors. You have this window here, and then you see these stairs kind of come into this window, and you're like, well, that's a little strange. That is because of the forced symmetry on the outside. We wanted to continue that symmetry there, and we had to address that element right there as you walk up the stairs. And also you can see how wide these stairs are. They make it a very easy way to just climb the stairs, but also as you look through this, it's a very huge design element. As I talked about those dormers in the great room, you start to see in this entry some sloped ceilings, and reason is when you go on the outside, there's further dormers that cut inside. And again, when you're trying to achieve that European look, those are some of the elements that you get inside the home. Some kind of neat design elements in this bathroom. Again, it kind of falls along with those powder baths. We did a little bit of low lights in here, a little more modern take of a bathroom in this house, but still mixed in some of the textures, concrete, the white oak. This is considered a P-trap below, but this P-trap's a little more decorative, and it's called a bottle trap. It looks a little more modern, and it takes a lot more planning. Again, it's something that's handled in the pre-construction side of things. We put in our selections on Buildertrend, and it's logged in there, and then you have to hit that plumbing just right. You have less movement in a bottle trap compared to a P-trap in plumbing. As you walk through this, what we would call catwalk, there's just so much eye candy, right? You're coming through here, you're seeing this entry, these 3 floors, and then you look to your left here, you've got that continual wainscoting that we did downstairs of that kind of vertical element. And then you look down in here, and this is like almost like a Juliet balcony. You can look down, you can see the great room, see the beams, and because we did that dormer ceiling height, all of a sudden you feel like you're in this room a little bit. As you walk through here, this is like the kids' suite area where the kids are gonna have their own TV area, away from the bedrooms and somewhere that's separate. Back behind there, we have a linen area, actually a second laundry, which makes it really easy for all the bedrooms that are up here. And then when you come through here, this bedroom, the bedroom back there, and the other bedroom on the other side of the house has some type of ceiling treatment. This, we actually changed the ceiling vault on this one. It's not a straight gable. And then lastly, one of the most popular bathroom setups, everyone knows where the Jack and Jill is. There's a difference between Jack and Jill's, and the other one is called a Hollywood. A Hollywood bath is typically represented when there's 2 vanities and those vanities are in the same room. A Jack and Jill is when the actual vanity like this, and there's a whole nother room for another vanity, but they share the toilet and tub area. But as you just kind of look at these vanities, you can see that elements of vertical lines is being shown here. This tile little moment was really cool. We created this, we had to cut out those tiles individually and create that pattern. That was really fun. So as you walk through this other bedroom here, same idea with these ceiling treatments as you come in here. Now this one we wrapped in white oak and made a tray ceiling, where the other one has a vault. Each one is unique of itself and a way to give character to every single bedroom. As a family will move in here and each child will either claim a bedroom or whatnot, it gives each bedroom a sense of identity and design that is not only fluid around the house, but it's unique to each bedroom, and I think that's something really special. As you go down, the amount of planning that goes into a stairwell like this, I actually don't think there's any other area in the inside of the home that has so many codes associated to this. The rise is usually around 7 3/4, and each step can't have a variance more than 1/8. There's a certain tread depth, there's a certain tread width. I mean, the amount of codes that are involved in this that have to be not only drawn, but then executed on site at framing, and then we layer all the finishes on this virtually through the Buildertrend Selections tab. If you're gonna do hardwoods like we've done here on every tread, well, you need to know that at framing and set that. And so we have to have that during our pre-construction, that we know we're gonna do a full white oak tread on there, and it's gonna have risers. And then we need to know, hey, what kind of railing are we gonna do? What kind of blocking do we need for these type of spindles with this metal railing? And that's gonna be labeled really in depth on Buildertrend and through the selections. And really the point being is that this element of the house, massive amount of planning, massive amount of effort to get this done. And lastly, as we come down here, you can see that typically you always have to have some type of post here, because this is a moment, they call it, structurally, and that would need something. That detail, I would say, probably took an extra couple days for the framer, the structural steel person, the engineer to figure out, and now we're ended up with this. And it's always our hope that the client will one day, see or appreciate right away, and sometimes they never do. But all the different elements involved, to the engineering, to the framing, to the layering, and sometimes as builders, you do things just because you love it. That floating staircase section right there. Most people would never know with a column or without it, but it's always our hope that one day someone will say, wow, this is really unique, and there's no column here. How did they get that done? And then they'll realize, wow, these guys really thought this out and really cared. Well, that is our Artisan Home. And I would say, like any custom home that we do, it's important to know that sometimes you just have to live in a home to realize, you know what, that little trim could be worked a little bit better. That little thing could be worked a little better. And the coolest things that we do have is we have great systems that, like Buildertrend, that works on the warranty tab, that we can go back and look at the change orders. Why this element changed? and what did we have to do to get this new thing involved, and then have a spot on the warranty tab to log it, to see its history, and to ultimately, after living in the home for a year, that we can wrap it up and say, you know what, we've had time to finesse it and get it just right, and now it's complete.